Good morning, my fellow Michiganders. Good morning, my fellow Americans. Welcome, of course, to the Grassroots Army podcast. I am your host, former Michigan gubernatorial candidate Garrett Soldano, and I want to bring to you some awareness today, especially with the clown show of our country right now, the dumpster fire, which it is, unfortunately, but to start talking about some future narratives and how you need to start talking to not the progressive left, but the middle. This is an important conversation for you all to hear so you can effectively have conversation without forcing your opinions down people's throats, without offending the people in the middle. And there's a way to do it. And a simple way when you're talking to the other side, which I've done it time and time again, is just to ask questions. Because I had this many conversations with over the past several months with liberals, old school Democrats that I call them. I don't really talk to progressive leftists because they're never going to change. All they continue to scream from the rooftops is orange man bad, right? And they're starting to really freak out because President Trump is starting to pull ahead, way ahead in some of the polls against President Biden. We're going to get to President Biden here in a second. But all you have to do is ask a simple question very calmly and just ask them this. Number one, is our country better off now than where it was 5 years ago? They won't be able to answer that. They can't say that it is. They can't. But number two is the next question that you should ask is, okay, tell me some of the things that President Biden has done, which has been positive for our country. Again, they won't have a lot of answers. What will happen is they'll start to run around the issue. They won't be able to address it head on. And that's where you just leave it at that. Okay, because you want them to start to think. Now, that's the most important part because anyone that is a parent, we're going to go into this on a video that I made of Governor Whitmer, is just very upset right now with what's going on in the public school systems with taking away parental rights with Gavin Newsom. He's a clown. I have my top 3 clowns, folks. And President Biden did not make the top 3 because he's just an old man that has dementia who is dwindling down very, very fast. My top 3, of course, is Governor Whitmer, Gavin Newsom, and the clown from the north, Justin Trudeau, for all my Canadian brothers and sisters that are suffering underneath his tyrannical rule. So when you ask those questions, they won't be able to answer them. They truly won't. But here's the hard part. Biden's not going to run. He's not. The Democrat Party, they're already doing it. They're going to start to switch, and they're starting to realize that he is starting to be an anchor on their agenda, and they are going to get rid of him. Kamala is not going to run. So who's left? Well, we've heard, Obama mama's wife, Big Mike, a.k.a. Michelle Obama may run. Who knows? We have Gavin Newsom, and we have Governor Whitmer. Now, Gavin Newsom, he is a just slick character when you listen to him speak. So I'm going to start highlighting some of the things that he's done in the past. The guy is just as corrupt as you can see. He's been taking away parental rights in California. I think that's really what's truly going to hurt him when they start to put that out there, that he has just been hammering down and allowing the alphabet mafia to run rampant and taking away people's rights, parental rights, and just really force feeding the alphabet mafia's agenda down their throats. And the parents aren't very happy. And they're offending a lot of people. So I don't think Gavin Newsom, no matter how much the left tries to push him down our throat, is going to be successful. So who's left? And that is our nanny governor from the state of Michigan, which I said time and time again, Governor Gretchen Whitmer. And if you watch her and follow her on Twitter, she's painting this beautiful picture of how Michigan's just great and we're bipartisan and all this stuff. They're really, really pushing that. And so my red flags are up right now with her. I just really feel that they're going to try to push her through. So I, of course, being a huge fan of Governor Whitmer, which if you've been following over the last 3.5 years, you know how much I love that woman. So I made a little video that's going to be dropped here, I think on Friday, but I wanted to let you all see it on the live today since I'm being censored again, because I really think it's important for everyone to see this on how much she supports President Biden. She's been riding with Biden ever since the beginning. So, and this is also some great ammunition for you to have conversations with the middle. There's going to be a lot of media clips of what's going on in our country. And this is all because of Democrat-run policies. So let's get right to this great video that I made.
What I love about Joe Biden, though, is he knows how to build a coalition.
I want to get to the latest on the ongoing migrant crisis. We have seen historic numbers of migrants entering the country illegally over at the border.
I'm riding with Biden.
Raised its key interest rate to the highest level in more than 20 years. The Fed is raising rates by 1/4 of a point. It marks the 4th increase this year intended to slow inflation.
I'm riding with Biden.
Which I just find dumbfounding that a state legislator would think, I know what's best for someone else's children. That's insane.
No, it's not just insane, it's disastrous, and it's going to destroy this country, right? But I'll tell you one thing. The legislator in Minnesota, Lee Fink, is a transgender woman and a radical, and actually just caused some controversy in the state of Minnesota for introducing legislation that would protect, and I'm not exaggerating, I'm not kidding, would protect pedophiles as a protected class. It would elevate them.
I'm riding with Biden.
If they get their way, it will be impossible, Christiana, for girl athletes to compete and win if they're forced to compete against biological males.
I'm riding with Biden.
Everyone is now eligible to get vaccinated right now, right away. Go get vaccinated, America.
I'm riding with Biden.
Big news out of Canoga Park tonight after a flash mob of thieves smashed display cases and stole thousands of dollars in merchandise from Nordstrom's.
I'm riding with Biden.
The number of homeless people on the streets and in shelters across the U.S. increased significantly this year.
I'm riding with Biden.
To Hunter Biden, the Chinese energy company, and Joe Biden himself, because I think that some of the pushback the Democrats have been giving is, even if you prove that Hunter Biden is corrupt, what does that actually mean about Joe Biden?
Yeah, so on your second point first, Joe Biden's been established as a key part of the business strategy of Hunter Biden in multiple aspects. We could start with being in the meetings, being at dinners with key business partners, Hunter traveling on Air Force Two, the sharing of bank accounts between Hunter and Joe, the payment of 10% to the big guy. We can go through the multiple pseudonym emails and burner phones that Joe used to communicate with Hunter through the course of his business dealings. We can also go to the ongoing cover-up and the sweetheart treatment of Hunter Biden by Joe Biden's DOJ.
I'm riding with Biden, and everyone else has a seat, too.
I'm patting myself on the back for that video that I made yesterday. But that really gives you a lot of ammunition to talk to people about. And these are like the kitchen table issues that middle America are very concerned with. Inflation, the economy, immigration, kids, what they're force feeding down their throats in schools, taking away parental rights, the crime. These are all huge issues to middle America, okay? And so these are the things that we point out, and stay calm when you have these conversations. But that is what they're trying to do, is put the spotlight somewhere else than the dumpster fire that is America. That's why they always talk about Russia and Ukraine, Russia and Ukraine. Even Hillary Clinton is starting to put out the narrative that Russia is going to interfere with the next election. Why? Because they are truly getting scared that they're going to lose in a big way. And there's going to be a tremendous amount of voter turnout at this next election, because all these things that are happening is affecting everyone. It's just not like a few issues. Our whole country's on fire right now. So there's going to be a huge voter turnout, and it's going to be very difficult for them to cheat like they did last time. I mean, it's true. And so what's going to happen if there's more people that are voting that are registered to vote? Then what? Is there going to be that much fraud on an astronomical scale? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. But I do know that most people, besides the 33% or so that are just head in the sand, that are going to vote left no matter what, doesn't care about what's going on just because of their egos, 65 to 70% of Americans are fed up. And that's why I really feel that depending on who runs, if Biden, there's no way he's running, but Gavin Newsom, what he's done to California, Governor Whitmer, it's going to be interesting if she can compete, because she's run Michigan into the ground no matter how much they try to pass all this stuff, this bipartisan stuff with energy and solar panels. Let me get on that first. So you guys have been following me, know how passionate I am about energy. Nuclear now, right? That's all I keep saying. If you really are serious about climate change, and I had this question at the when I made this statement at the Turning Point USA chapter in Washtenaw County Community College this week, I said, who here believes in climate change? And I raised my hand nice and high. There's a few others in the crowd. And people are like, oh, Garrett believes in climate change. Yeah, if you look through our history of Earth, climate change exists. It does. Earth goes through ebbs and flows. That's what it does. 10,000 years ago in Michigan, we were underneath what? 1 to 2 miles sheet of ice. So yes, it melts. And we go through these things. But if you're really going to talk to me about climate change, then bring me an energy-dense solution, and that's nuclear, not a bunch of solar and wind. And that's what we're seeing all throughout the state right now. If you travel on 94 from Kalamazoo to Detroit, you can see all the solar panel farms, and it's disgusting to see. People are like, it's clean energy. Folks, it's not energy dense. We're going to have rolling blackouts, especially when they try to force all these electric vehicles down our throats. And what happens when the solar panel's life is gone? Who's going to recycle all that rare earth metals, those toxic things, and all the weed killer that they're going to spray around all the solar panels to keep all the weeds down so the sunlight can hit the solar panels? They're going to ruin the earth. This is farmland, right? Nobody wants to talk about that. So if you're going to bring me an energy dense solution, then you better start talking about nuclear or some other technology that is cleaner than nuclear energy, because nuclear energy is the only solution as I see it. But that's another time and date for me to talk about, obviously. But we're going to see who runs, and it's going to be interesting. But I'm going to do my part in bringing awareness to everyone on how horrible Governor Whitmer is and Gavin Newsom. And then we're going to talk about as this evolves. That's all there is to it. But Hillary is already running with the Russia is going to interfere with the election. Why? Because they know the voter turnout is going to be astronomical for President Trump, which brings me to my next point. Unity, unity, unity. That's what we need, especially in the state of Michigan. Folks, if you're in Michigan right now, or if you heard about Michigan politics are a mess. Our party is fractured into all of these different factions throughout the state. It's like the Game of Thrones here in the state of Michigan. We have the Grassroots, we have Ultra Mega, we have Mega, we have all these folks just in different directions. Tons of egos are involved, and it's just ripping our party here in the state of Michigan. And there are some few people that are trying to bring unity, and one of them is Eric Castigula. So I'm going to highlight Eric because he was at Donald Trump's speech last night in Clinton Township, and Eric is just a phenomenal human being that's trying to do what's right. He takes arrows from both sides. He's stuck in the middle, but he's trying to really bring unity. So let me introduce to all of you, Eric Castigula out of the East Side.
Garrett Saldano with Michigan Grassroots. He's doing fantastic. They all came to the event. They all supported my event, where before all our groups stayed separate. We never helped each other. We never built up each other. Everybody came to the Tucker event. Everybody promoted it. Everybody talked about what do we need to do and get people excited again. And that's the positive.
See, Eric is just working his butt off on trying to bring unity to this Michigan Republican Party. And that's what we need. I mean, unfortunately, in this party in Michigan, there is just too many chiefs. There really is. And I tried to bring unity to it too. And it's almost impossible. So you have the money donors to what we call the elites of the Michigan Republican Party, that they have dried up. They're not donating anything to the Grassroots chair, Christina Coromo, because they say that she's too radical. And what we truly just need is to get all these folks in a room and just hash it out. And I hope that happens in the near future for the sake of the Michigan Republican Party, because like many of you, I'm getting fed up with it too. But folks, I've been through this. When I was running for governor, I took more arrows from the fringe right, from these factions, from the lies and all this other garbage that they were spreading. I was constantly trying to put out fires in my campaign from all the misinformation that they were doing, because they had their candidate and their candidate was 100% going to win. And unfortunately, their candidate did not win, did not even come close to winning. And so that's what you deal with. And when you have all that division, we eat ourselves up, and the Democrats just sit back and take advantage of it. Until we stop doing that, we're going to continue to lose, and we're going to lose in a big way. And just for instance, I'm bringing Clay Clark, the gentleman who started the Reawaken America tour that's been going around, and he's a very successful business person. He's a self-made man, and he's doing a lot of great things. But I posted this morning that he's coming on the Grassroots Army podcast on Tuesday, and I'm real excited to have Clay on to share his story and what he's doing. But all kinds of people are saying, well, I heard this, I did the research on him and this and that. And they just start spreading rumors and misinformation. Like, hey, if you have something on the guy, post it in the comments and I'll ask him. And I'm sure he's going to answer it. But when you say that I heard this, That's where division starts and unity literally ends. We have to quit with this hearsay. We have to quit with all of these things that you heard, or, there were some things that were written about me when I was running for governor, like the horrible stories that I was making money off COVID tests and I was making money off the COVID vaccines. And I was in bed with this lab company and everything else. And I mean, when I read it, I was like, holy cow, this guy's a really horrible person. And it was actually me. All right. And it was all lies. It was all these things that they took all this kind of stuff from everywhere and they painted a narrative and they pushed it out. And then people would start to believe that. And I'd constantly have to answer questions about that. And everything was like, he's dark money. And again, I would continue to have to get on and say, no, we're all grassroots and everything else. But that's the misinformation. And that wasn't even from the left. I didn't even get to the left at that point. It was from our own side. And so we have to knock the hot garbage off. We truly do. And those of you out there who continue to spread this misinformation and just post all this garbage on social media, you got to stop, man. You're part of the problem. You are a bigger part of the problem than the left. That's it. You can call me a rhino. You can call me whatever the hell you want. I do not care. Call it to my face and you and I can talk in the parking lot, right? Because I'll get hillbilly really quick. But we have to stop. So I'm excited to have Clay on. But if you do have some serious questions you want me to ask him, or if you did some research, post it in the comments. I'll be more than happy to address it, because that's what the podcast is about, is bringing folks on and holding them accountable. And I'm going to start bringing on some future candidates and talk about their campaigns, and I'm going to hold them accountable. Unfortunately, I see a lot in politics that we have all these people who should not be in the races. They crowd the field. They can't raise money. They have no following, and they go out there, and I don't know why they do it, but I'm going to start holding these folks accountable and not just come on and say, hey, tell me what you think about the Second Amendment. Tell me what you think about the election. No, it's going to be, how much money have you raised? How much money do you plan on raising? How much money do you think you need to win? Because unfortunately, folks, money's a big thing in politics right now, because you have to get your messaging out. Unfortunately, the only way that you can really, truly get it out is paying for media space, which I know is hot garbage, and I don't agree with it. But unfortunately, that is just the truth with what is happening today in politics. You can't really just do it on your own by going to events by yourself and doing it on social media. Can't. I worked my butt off, just like a couple other candidates, raised a good amount of money, got a few commercials out, but you need tens of millions of dollars to win these big races, especially if you're going to run for Senate. If you're going to run for Senate, you better have a war chest, because the other side will. And whoever has the most money can paint the most horrible picture of the other candidate, or the positive, or whatever you want to call it. But you need that money to get on TV to push your narrative out, because you can only go to so many events and the numbers just don't add up. Gary Glenn taught me that. Great, great human being. All right, I'm going to end with this today. Make sure that you watch Clay Clark on Tuesday. If you have any questions for me to ask him, please post them in the comments. And somebody just posted, we need election integrity. Yeah, we know. But how do you get election integrity? You got to win. You got to win. You got to win all offices to change the election laws. That's just truth. How do you win? Exactly what I just said, unity. But I'm going to end with this. Our store will be open another week. The grassrootsarmy.com. This is our college little release for you to wear this gear around college football games. I'm a big fan. To have conversation. This gear is designed to spark conversation. People are going to like, what the hell's grassroots? And that's when you can start to spread conversation, because you never know. The power of one can lead to the power of many. That is what it's about, is having conversation with folks. And what better way than to do that than buying some Grassroots Army gear at our store, sweatshirts and long sleeves, because I love fall and I love college football season. Go Broncos, to my alma mater, Western Michigan University, who's not having a good year right now. That's for sure. But the Lions are. So I'm looking forward to the Lions game tonight against Green Bay. Let's go Lions. Get that grid on, baby. Hopefully we can thump on Green Bay. We'll see. But all right, folks, have a great day. Keep having conversation. Continue to push forward as we take back not only our local communities, but our state, but more importantly, our country in 2024. God bless you. God bless the state of Michigan, and God bless these United States. Talk to you soon.